Yo guys, happy man-made non-existing new year from a 12-month calendar, even though there's actually 13 months. And if you go even deeper, time doesn't even exist, but whatever. Today I'm gonna review a video called Should We Trust Nature More Than Ourselves? I talk about nature in basically all of my videos, which is why I thought that this may be an interesting video to start off the year.
We are here today to discuss nature, friend or foe. So, most think of nature as good, while humans and human interventions are often seen as problematic. And even
something that is unnatural is man-made, or it can also be animal-made. We always use the word man-made because we talk about human beings, but of course animals also create tools, for example, the same way humans create bows and spears, and they are of course not harmful. They are very beneficial for the hunters. Not everything that is man-made or unnatural is problematic, but what we see today, all of the technology, for example, man-made food, yes, that's problematic because it's very bad for human health. And bad really just means something which is unwelcome to the animal. In this case, when a human being says that something is bad, they mean that they don't welcome it. They don't welcome Beyond Meat for their health, for example, because it causes health problems.
On occasion, evil. From eradicating E-numbers from our diet to refusing vaccines, many are motivated by the idea that nature knows best.
Nature most definitely knows best because nature is the program of this reality, you could say. Whatever your beliefs are, whether you believe in creation, evolution, everybody can agree that everything that is natural for a specific animal is always best, obviously, because that's how we were created. Whether you believe that we were created through a big bang and then evolution happened, fish became human beings, or whether you believe in a god or the simulation theory, whatever, everybody still agrees that nature is, of course, always the best.
And yet malaria is natural. The malaria vaccine is not.
I'm not going to talk about malaria because malaria is a complicated topic and I'm not allowed to talk about it on YouTube. I'm obviously also not allowed to talk about vaccines on YouTube. Nobody is, which is why I'm going to leave out the vaccine part completely, obviously, and I'm going to talk about snake poison instead of malaria. It's much easier for people to understand that. Snake poison is natural for the snake, but she's talking to an audience of human beings. When I talk to people online, then I know that I'm talking to human beings, obviously, because those are the only animals that use the internet. So when I talk to my audience in my videos and I say that something is natural, then I always, of course, mean that it's natural for human beings. I never say for human beings because my audience is made up of only human beings, which is why there's no need for me to say for human beings. And it's the same for her. If she says that malaria is natural, then she's saying that malaria is natural for human beings. And if you take the example of snake poison, then we can, of course, not say that malaria or snake poison is natural for human beings. She should understand it because she's talking to her audience right there in real life, and they are all made up of human beings. There's no snakes or mosquitoes in the audience, which is why she cannot in any way say that malaria or snake poison is natural. How can it be for human beings? Are we born with snake poison in our blood? No, of course not. A baby doesn't have snake poison in his or her blood, otherwise they would be dead and there would be no human beings. Snake poison is poisonous to us, that's why it's called poison. Snake poison is natural for snakes. They are naturally born with it. That's how they defend themselves. That's how they kill animals. It is great for them, as in they welcome it. A snake would see snake poison as something good. Human beings would see it as something bad, and that's because they don't welcome it, seeing as they can die from it. And that's because it is not natural for human beings. We are not born with snake poison inside of us. Everything that is naturally part of an animal is always good for us. Everything that is natural for human beings is good. And everything that is natural for a snake is good. Everything that's natural for a wolf, a bear, and so on is good, which is why everything that's natural for an animal is always healthy and everything that's unnatural for an animal is always unhealthy. You would have to get into a situation where an animal attacks you for you to get snake poison inside of your body, which means that you have to get into a so-called man-made situation, or in this case, an animal-created situation. It would be unnatural for you to have snake poison inside of you. For her to give these examples already shows the lack of her intelligence.
Crop failure, hurricanes, tsunamis.
Wait, let's see what she will say.
All are deadly.
Yes, they are deadly, but wait, let me hear the end.
And all are natural.
No, you don't understand. Again, you're talking to an audience of human beings. Is a hurricane naturally inside of a human being? No. What she's talking about is that it's a natural occurrence, you could say. It happens in nature. What is in any way bad about it? She's saying that it's deadly. For who? Really only for weak and dumb people. Nature always punishes weakness and stupidity, which is why she's also getting punished by publishing this video. We can laugh at her stupidity. It is a sort of a punishment, me making this video about her, pointing out how dumb she is. And that's just how nature works. A hurricane is never going to kill anybody except for injured, weak and stupid animals that cannot protect themselves, that don't know how to find shelter, that don't have enough food, and so on. It is never going to punish strong and intelligent animals, no matter what kind. What she may also say is that hurricanes destroy buildings. Yes, of course, because buildings are man-made. Nature a lot of times destroys what is man-made, because what is man-made is not supposed to last. It is destructible. It's supposed to be because it was created by human beings or other animals. Other animals also create shelter, but nature does destroy all kinds of unnatural stuff. Even if I would right now pour water over my camera or my computer, then it would break because a lot of natural elements destroy all of this unnatural man-made garbage, especially the technology of today. And that's because they cannot interact with something that's natural. What is exactly bad about it? What is bad about nature destroying the weak, stupid, and unnatural? Why? Why would it be bad?
Human actions are essential to extend and save lives from natural calamity. So is our attachment to nature undermining belief in ourselves? Should we have more faith in human and less trust in nature?
We have this problem today, and that's why we have all of the problems of today. When it comes to food, you could simply trust nature, your naturally programmed senses. You could simply eat raw meat, drink blood, but instead you were programmed by human beings. You watch horror movies, all kinds of disinformation, and now you believe that it's demonic and, of course, dangerous to eat your natural food, which you're supposed to eat, which you want to eat, but you trust human beings, you have faith in human beings, in science, as in scientism, instead of you. You know what you want. You still have your natural senses. They have simply been repressed, and that's why instead people go on vegan diets, they start eating Beyond Meat, lab-grown meat, and we are the sickest, most degenerated human beings with the shortest lifespans in human history right now because we don't have faith in nature anymore, which really means that we don't have faith in ourselves.
Or are we right to be skeptical of human intervention? And should we see the renewed reverence for nature as a positive return to an ancient and essential belief? I have the pleasure of introducing Slavoj Žižek, who is a Hegelian psychoanalyst and arguably the leading celebrity philosopher of our times. Idiosyncratic and fiercely polemical.
Well, two things to say about nature. One is that nature doesn't care about us in particular. I mean, if an asteroid would hit planet Earth tomorrow morning and all life on Earth will be destroyed, nature wouldn't care about it.
What asteroid? That doesn't make any sense. You're talking about something that would come from the outside, and believing in asteroids and all of the nonsense is a whole different story that also shows his level of intelligence, of course. And even if you would believe in them, why would you worry about something that may happen? Anything can happen. You can walk through a forest, a branch can fall on your head and you can die. You may run into a tiger and the tiger may bite your legs off. Anything can happen, but what you are naturally programmed to do is always for your health and survival. As long as you completely listen to your senses, you will be perfectly healthy. And that is nature. You can never say that human nature, which is the only nature that matters, is somehow bad for you. But we all fight for survival, and there's no life without death. We all consume each other all of the time. Even microbes do that. So of course, you cannot talk about another animal's nature because that other animal is going to try to eat you. You can only talk about human nature.
It would just go on as usual. Planets and stars explode all the time, and physics just goes on. The second point is that, it's really... I never really know what to say about this seeming binary division between humans and nature, because you can never violate the laws of nature. Nothing that humans or anybody else can do can break the laws of nature. Anything which is possible is by definition also natural.
Anything that is possible is also natural. Beyond meat, which is fake meat, is natural, which means that it's part of our natural so-called diet. Oh, okay. So we can eat beyond meat and be healthy. Oh, wow. Great. One of the greatest philosophers of our time. Pure intelligence. I've never heard anybody say something so smart in my life. That also means that cows can eat only meat and we can only eat grass because we don't have a natural diet. We can just eat whatever we want to because it's all natural. Why did humans even create the words natural and unnatural? Obviously, it was important for us to distinguish between what's natural and unnatural. This guy comes along and says that everything is natural.
Whether it's genetic engineering, whether it's the internet, whether it's vaccinations, it's all natural.
Genetic engineering, GMO food is natural. The internet is, oh my God.
Because, the laws of nature are not like the laws of a state. That the state makes a law, let's say you can't drive more than 90 kilometers per hour. That's the law of the state. And you nevertheless drive 120 kilometers per hour, and a policeman stops you and gives you a ticket, a fine. It doesn't work like that with nature. Nature, it doesn't give us some kind of law, and then we break it. I don't know, we do genetic engineering, and then it punishes us.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is possibly the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. How can you be so disconnected from reality? That is insane. That is absolutely, actually, literally insane. I really mean it. Oh my God. I can give you so incredibly many examples. Everybody knows this. You eat unnatural food. You don't eat meat. You eat lab-grown meat. You eat fake meat. You become unhealthy. You broke a law of nature. You eat what you're not naturally supposed to eat. You start eating grass, which a cow is supposed to eat. You possibly die from it because you broke a law of nature, of course. You want to feel comfortable, of course, naturally, as a human. You want to be healthy, but instead of doing that, you go and run a marathon. Then you get a heart attack. You just broke a law of nature. You broke your nature. That's nature. Oh my God. This is so insane. You as a woman, stop eating animal fat, which a lot of women do nowadays. You become infertile. You broke a law of nature. You are intimate with somebody while being on birth control. You broke a law of nature. You don't procreate. And so on. I could go on for ages. Every time you break the laws of nature, you always feel it. You always see it. You always sense it in some way. Always. And he says never. The reality is always. And he's saying never. Really think about this. I just can't believe what I just heard.
For this. It just doesn't work like that. So, I think we should be suspicious both of humans and of nature. And the big question to ask about anything is not whether it is natural. Everything is natural. the big question to
What was the point of creating the words natural and unnatural then? Does this guy not think at all? Philosophers are supposed to be able to think, but he doesn't even think whatsoever. He's not a free thinker. He doesn't have any of his own thoughts.
ask is whether it causes suffering, it causes harm. Wars are natural, but they are still...
Every time you do something that's unnatural for your body suffers. That's why it's so incredibly important to talk about what is natural and unnatural for an animal.
bad. And climate change is bad not because it's somehow against nature, but because it potentially would cause immense suffering to humans and to other sentient beings. So that's the big question.
Fascinating. Okay. Well, Slavoj, what do you think? Do you think we should have more
It's fascinating how stupid he is. I would agree with that.
faith in humans? Do you think we should trust nature less? Do you want to tell Yuval he's wrong?
No, I have a big problem here because where are the knives? I basically agree with what Yuval just said. I mean, no, because I...
Does the guy have Parkinson's or something? I don't mean that to be offensive. I just noticed that he's twitching. He obviously has some neurogenic problems. His speech is also showing signs of brain damage.
I know he is often accused of being like too popular, but I think he is saying things nonetheless in a clear, serious way. And what more fascinates me is to what extent...
It's interesting because this is caused by an unnatural lifestyle, more so an unnatural diet.
Quickly, yes, I agree with him. First, all is nature, of course. But here comes one, I hope Yuval will agree.
I thought that this will be a sort of debate, but he simply agrees with him that everything is nature and this is supposed to be, I've never heard of him, some kind of great philosopher? What the hell is going on? Oh my god, man. Are these supposed to be the great thinkers of our time? The ones who are not able to think whatsoever?
Don't be afraid, I'm a naturalist, I'm not an idealist. That nature is everything. All the catastrophes also come from nature, so...
Incredibly many don't come from nature nowadays, though. They're all man-made.
For a small vulgarity, if we have a mother nature, this mother is a dirty bitch, let's face it.
There we go, folks.
It's really messed up to hear this, but then again, I can only laugh about it because most of these people will die from heart attacks, strokes, because they eat an unnatural diet. They are sort of making fun of nature while simultaneously getting sick because they are breaking the laws of nature. They get exactly what they naturally deserve, so to speak.
But everything is also culture, not in the idealist sense, but in the sense, just look at the history of the notion of nature, how it changes. Nature was in medieval times, something totally different than modern nature from sciences today, something different. Now, I'm not saying nature is just a cultural construct.
What? Cultures are man-made. Some cultures may be more natural than other cultures, ours being, of course, the worst in history, but it has nothing to do with nature. There are no cultures in nature at all. Cultures have been created by human beings. Nature has oh my god, this video is crazy. Nature has always been the same. Always. Nature cannot change. Name anything natural that has changed. There's no examples. Nature has always been the same. It cannot be changed by human beings.
I'm just saying that what we perceive as natural is always part of a cultural process.
On one hand, you've called it a bitch, and on the other hand, you've sort of said, well, you know, but is...
How is what we call natural part of a cultural process? Name one example. Of course, he cannot name any examples of it, and that's because there are no examples. Cultures are man-made, as I said, whereas nature was created by whoever you believe created this life. Even if you believe that it's all coincidence, still, you see nature, you understand nature. Nature is all around us. Again, if we talk about food, no matter where you're from, what culture you're part of, all humans eat animal foods. The reason they do that is because it is what we are naturally supposed to eat. If our nature depended on cultures, then there would be some humans out there who would eat leaves and grass. But that cannot happen because it's not our nature. Does an animal's need for intimacy, procreation go away because of the culture that they are part of? No, of course not, because it's in our nature. There's just no examples of what he's saying.
I think that we are not going to have a lot of fights here, as you can see, but I completely agree.
It's just two dumb and ignorant guys who agree with each other. There's no debate here.
War is natural, murder is...
It depends on how you define war. If you simply mean that groups of animals fight against each other, then yes, wars are natural in the sense that they could occur in nature. But the kind of wars that we see today, completely unnatural, because everything that we use for these wars is also unnatural. Even the reasons for these wars are all created by humans. There's nothing natural about that at all, because they are not even done for natural reasons, so to speak.
It's natural, rape is natural, and it's all bad.
He's saying that for human beings, if it's done to you, something such as murder, then it's bad for you, which is of course true. No animal on earth wants to die, but of course, for the one who's doing it, it's good. That's why they do it. A human being only does something because they want to do it, because it's good for them. They welcome it, and the one who dies doesn't welcome it. Obviously, naturally, but is it universally bad? No, because it's good for some people. Simply look at the mass murders that have been going on in the last few decades, or specifically in the last few months. There's one side that is suffering and would call it bad, and then there's the other side who not only calls it good, but even great. They are actively celebrating the murders, which is why it's not a universal bad or good, seeing as there's no such thing in nature. In nature, there's no universal, general, right and wrong, good or bad. All of this was created by religions. They created the God and the devil. God, add another O, it's good. The devil, remove the D, it's evil. That's where it comes from. All human beings who believe in good and evil are religious, even all of the atheists. Whether you realize it or not, you have been severely programmed and brainwashed. In nature, no such thing. Nature understands that for one, it's always going to be good, and for the other, it's always going to be bad.
So, and you can't get morality and ethics out of the laws of nature.
Exactly, because there's no such thing in nature. Yep. The only thing he was right about.
And most nature is often a star in ethical debates and political debates. But this is just mythological stories that people say. When people say we should do X because X is natural, it's almost always a cultural or a political or mythological argument. It's not really an argument about nature.
Again, he cannot name any examples, because when people say that something is natural, or that you should do something that's natural, as in you should be intimate naturally so that you can procreate, or you should eat natural food to be healthy, then they really mean that it should be natural. It's not cultural. We just cannot know what he means, because both of them don't name any examples.
You know, personally, as a gay man, I heard many times this claim that homosexuality is unnatural. And again, as I said in the beginning, anything which is possible is also natural. It's in line with the laws of nature. If homosexuality was not in line with the laws of nature, it just couldn't exist. But it doesn't mean automatically that everything that is natural is also good. So what we need is just to stop using this argument, whether something is good or bad because it's natural or because it's unnatural, and move on to other arguments.
I'm not watching any more of this video. No, I heard enough. This was enough stupidity to last me for the whole year. Basically, what they both believe, which is why there was no debate, is that cultures in our societies are the ones that define what is natural, even though there's zero examples of this. It's just an empty belief. And the reason for that is simply because they cannot think for themselves. And when you believe something which you cannot explain, which you have no examples for, then you can know that you're brainwashed. Every time you just believe something, somebody says something, and then they ask you, why do you believe that? Give an example, give something, give some kind of reasoning, and you just say, it's just so, it's just how it is. Then you can know that you're brainwashed, because it actually just means that you were programmed by the media, most likely, to believe this belief, and there's just no way for you to explain your own thoughts, and that's because it's not your own thoughts, it's just empty beliefs that were programmed inside of your mind. You are mind controlled, and these two guys are absolutely mind controlled. They cannot explain any of their beliefs. I was waiting for some kind of examples. If not examples, then some kind of reasoning, some kind of arguments for their beliefs, but they cannot give any. And as you could see, I debunked everything that they said. It was just so easy. Thanks for watching.